Eros, I once heard an older man say, "A woman's silence isn't empty, it's an exam." Back then, I laughed it off. But I remember a time when a message of mine hung unread for hours. I kept checking the phone like it was a compass to fate. I wasn't worried about her reply. I was terrified of what my reactions said about me. That's the moment most men don't talk about. The waiting room of uncertainty. The itch to double text. The quiet panic that says, did I come on too strong? Did I lose her? Every man has sat in that storm. Someone once told me, it's not her silence you fear, it's the mirror it holds. Only later did I understand. When she ghosts your message, she's not just testing your patience. She's probing your soul. She wants to see if you unravel, plead, or chase the ghost of her attention. Because inside that gray scene bubble, she's not reading your words. She's reading your energy. I remember watching a friend spiral once. He sent paragraphs, then apologies for the paragraphs. By the time she finally replied, she wasn't responding to desire, she was responding to pity. That's where most men drown, not in her silence, but in their own desperation. Here's the epistle most never receive. Her silence is a mirror, Eros. It shows how much of yourself you've been bleeding away. It reveals whether you were steering the love or begging to stay aboard. Attention is the currency of modern love. Spend it recklessly and it turns to dust. She knows this, so when she withholds hers, she's watching. Will he toss coins endlessly, or will he finally demand a price? I remember when I finally learned the shift. I didn't chase, I let the silence sit. Hours later, her message arrived, laced with curiosity. Everything okay? That was the lesson. The stoic lover doesn't beg to be seen. He becomes unforgettable by staying calm, scarce, centered. He answers silence with discipline, not desperation. Because love's paradox is cruel but true. The moment you stop chasing her gaze, you ignite tension. That tension, that mystery, is the spark that rekindles desire. In this epistle, Eros, you'll learn to wield silence like a blade. How to let her feel the chill of your absence. How to become the man she wonders about instead of the man begging for relevance. When you stop pursuing, the scales tilt, and she no longer asks, why did he disappear? But how did I become so easy to release? Now let's descend into the storm. Eros, I remember the first time a woman went quiet on me. Not blocked, not angry, just absent. Hours passed, then a day. I stared at my phone like it owed me truth. Someone once told me, a woman's silence is a dialogue you don't hear yet. That line didn't land until I lived it. Her silence isn't about your last text. It's a wordless declaration. Show me who you are when I withdraw. Women learned this long before language. Silence is their ancient weapon, absence as argument. She isn't rejecting you. She's observing you like a craftsman watches metal under fire. A man told me once over a drink, if I crumble in her quiet, she sees my whole foundation. He was right. She's measuring your composure, your patience, your self-anchorage. A woman doesn't crave a man who panics in quiet. She craves the man who is the quiet. I've seen brothers fracture. One paced his apartment. Another typed apology paragraphs he didn't need to send. Their panic revealed they were never steering. They were passengers praying not to be dropped. But when you mirror her silence with calm, not arrogance, not punishment, something strange happens. She feels it. She enters that internal tug-of-war. Her ego demands pursuit. Her intuition whispers, why isn't he? I remember once staying silent longer than my nerves wanted. Later she admitted she reread our texts, checked my stories, even scrolled old photos to figure out if she miscalculated me. Her silence was never indifference. It was control. If your mood dips, she wins. If you stay steady, she questions herself. The stoic lover doesn't take it personally. He steps back and lets silence speak for him. You cannot rattle a man who rules himself. That realization unsettles her. Then it intrigues her. Then it earns her respect. And respect, Eros, is the root of desire. Eros, I remember the instinct too well. The moment she slows her replies, your gut screams, do something, fix it. A friend once told me as he spiraled, if I don't fight for her, I'll lose her. He didn't see the truth. His panic was the loss. We call it love, but it's fear. Fear of fading, fear of not being enough. I've watched men sabotage themselves with that fear, sending essays, explaining feelings she never asked about, chasing what their dignity begged them to release. Chasing doesn't reclaim her. It confirms one thing to her. You will never let her leave. Desire doesn't bloom in pursuit. It blooms in presence. She doesn't fall for the man who needs her light. She falls for the man whose light burns steady, whether she stands near it or not. I once chased, I still remember the hollow feeling. Her replies got shorter, and every effort I made turned into evidence of imbalance. Predictability killed mystery, and mystery is the oxygen of feminine imagination. When you chase, you hand her the throne. When you pause, you reclaim it. I learned that pause the hard way, redirecting the ache into action, lifting weights, working, building. Suddenly the ache turned into momentum, and without me trying, she resurfaced. You've been distant, everything okay? That pause wounded her ego more than any argument ever could. She misses not the man, but the warmth you carried. At first, she pretends it's relief, then confusion, then longing. The stoic lover doesn't chase, because chasing never restores respect. I've never seen a man talk his way back into value. He either embodies it or he doesn't. You cannot convince someone to cherish what they've already devalued, but you can remind them, through stillness, knowing that their absence doesn't break you. It frees you. Scarcity, eros, is the aphrodisiac of the feminine soul. I didn't understand this truth until I lived it. I remember sitting on my sofa once, watching the typing bubble appear, then vanish. Nothing. A friend once told me, silence isn't empty, it's loaded. I brushed it off then, but his words echoed that night. Silence broadcasts who you really are. Your discipline, your depth, your dominion over your own heart. Most men can't handle that broadcast. A guy I knew once confessed, I text again because the quiet makes me feel invisible. He didn't see that invisibility wasn't the problem. His fear of it was. Men fill silence with nervous chatter because silence terrifies them. But terror is where power is forged. I remember the first time I chose not to fill the void. Every instinct clawed for action, but I let stillness sit in my chest. The world didn't end. The panic passed, and for the first time, I felt in control. When you stay calm while ignored, you declare, my peace is non-negotiable. That stillness confounds her. She expected panic, proof of her power. When you withhold it, you become unpredictable. Unpredictability breeds curiosity. Curiosity breeds pull. I had a girl once admit, I thought you didn't care anymore. It made me think about you more. She felt my silence like a low hum. Why isn't he reaching out? Has he moved on? That hum turned into a roar. Emotional mastery isn't suppression. It's containment. You feel the storm, but you don't let it steer the ship. That's the moment you shift. From emotional debtor to emotional sovereign. Women don't desire men who explain their feelings. They desire men whose silence makes them feel. The stoic lover's silence has gravity. It draws her inward, making her chase memories of your presence. She said, it wasn't what you said that got me, it was what you didn't. That's when I understood this chapter. When you stop feeding her ego, the feast ends. She scrolls out of habit, expecting your name to appear. It doesn't. She tells herself she's free, but freedom without warmth feels like cold marble. You don't need cryptic posts or fake busyness. Real absence is felt, not performed. I remember ignoring the urge to check her story. She later admitted she posted hoping I would. That's how silent gravity works. Every unread message, every unreacted story, every subtle pull she tries that meets stone. It flips the mirror. She replays moments you once made her feel seen. The contrast between your past devotion and your present detachment burns. She doesn't miss your texts. She misses the energy that made her feel priceless. I once ran into someone after months apart. She smiled, then her voice cracked. You don't look for me anymore. It wasn't a question, it was a realization. Your silence, born of peace, not spite, pulls her inward. She overthinks. She compares. She wonders who replaced her, even if no one did. That's not punishment, eros. It's revelation. She handed you silence. You returned it with dignity. The void she created becomes her echo chamber. And for the first time, she hears the truth of what she lost. Eros, I didn't understand detachment until I was forced into it. I remember walking through a grocery store, seeing her favorite snack on a shelf, and fighting the urge to send a picture with thought of you. That tiny moment was the battle, wanting connection but choosing self-respect. Detachment isn't ice. It's clarity. It's feeling the pull and choosing discipline over desperation. A friend once said to me, I don't want to seem like I care, but real detachment isn't pretending not to care. It's caring deeply and refusing to chase. You stop living in emotional debt, no longer overdrafting your dignity. For the sake of her comfort, you invest in your purpose. The weight clanking in the gym, the quiet nights writing, the moments you force yourself to focus even while your chest aches. You don't ghost to wound, you go quiet to heal. I remember the first time I reached that peace. She texted, and I didn't feel urgency. It shocked me more than her silence ever did. When she senses you're no longer tethered to her validation, her curiosity reignites. You're not an option anymore. You're a standard. The man who moves slowly, speaks sparingly, radiates calm. He becomes the storm she can't command. The stoic lover uses detachment as a mirror, not a blade. He doesn't hide emotion, he redirects it. Detachment returns your mystery, your confidence, your peace. I once heard a woman whisper, "I didn't realize you mattered until you stopped chasing." That's when I understood. When she realizes she's lost access to your heart, only the memory remains, and the power shifts forever. Eros, I've never seen respect return through pleading, but I've seen it resurface when a man changes quietly. Respect isn't begged, it's embodied. I remember disappearing for a while, no announcements. Just gym sessions, long walks, deeper work. Months later, when she saw me again, her eyes lingered longer than her words. Transformation speaks without speaking. She doesn't respect you because you told her to. She respects the man she feels has evolved beyond her reach. You don't announce change. You become it. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking reassurance. You exist in control. Your energy shifts calm, patient, grounded. She feels it before she sees it. When you stop chasing validation and chase mission, she feels the axis tilt. She remembers the man who drew her in. Detached, disciplined, centered. I once watched an ex try to hide her stare, as if my stillness was something she didn't know how to interact with anymore. She doesn't just regret losing you. She respects the man who walked into discipline and returned untouchable. The stoic lover commands respect through alignment. His silence speaks. His peace proves. Nothing earns admiration faster than a man who walked through fire and emerged still. Eros, regret doesn't hit in the moments she flaunts indifference. It arrives in the small hours, when the night is quiet and the room feels too big. I've heard women admit this. I didn't miss you until no one gave me what you did. She doesn't miss the man she ignored. She misses the peace she felt in his presence. She rationalizes. He was too calm. He didn't need me. But that soothing presence is what unsettles her now. She revisits your page. Your silence reads differently. Not bitter but serene. That serenity stings more than any confrontation ever could. She compares your steadiness to the chaos of others she entertained. Your patience becomes the mystery she can't unfeel. Regret turns into reflection. Reflection into longing. Not always for you, but for the stability she discarded. The stoic lover doesn't make her regret. He simply lives in a way that reveals truth. I remember years later, a woman told me, "I didn't realize peace was rare until I lost it." That's the unseen echo she carries. Every time excitement turns hollow. Eros, this was never about her. It was about the man forged in her silence. Every lover will meet someone who cracks open his insecurities, who teaches through distance what self-mastery actually means. You have two paths: chase her and lose yourself, or release her and find yourself. The stoic lover chooses the forge. Her silence burned away the false, the needy, the impulsive, until only discipline remained. You learned a text left on read doesn't define you. You learned affection shouldn't make you beg. Most men waste lifetimes fixing, chasing, proving. But the man who walked through emotional fire and stayed calm, he becomes untouchable. His peace becomes priceless. Never trade self-respect for connection. Give presence, not dependence. When she pulls away, let her feel your absence. I've seen what happens when a woman feels that absence. It weighs more than 1,000 pleas. Your silence is your signature. It declares, I choose clarity over chaos, composure over impulse, purpose over validation. Once you master this, loss loses its sting. You stop fearing rejection because you become the closure. You attract loyalty through consistency, not begging. So when silence comes again, and it will, don't flinch, don't chase. Remember the man you became, the one whose silence speaks louder than his words, whose absence teaches more than his presence ever could. Her silence tested your heart. Your silence revealed your evolution. That, Eros, is the true price of ignoring a stoic lover. Like, share, subscribe to Epistles to Eros for more soul-piercing truths about the way you love.